Meta, the company that has control over both Facebook and Instagram, has finally banned the influencer known as Andrew Tate from the platforms for violating its policies. The former kickboxer rose to fame in 2016 when he was removed from TV show Big Brother over a video which appeared to depict him attacking a woman. So he already started off gaining traction for being a man-sized piece of poo. At the time of his removal from Big Brother, Mr. Tate claimed that the video had been edited, calling it, quote, a total lie trying to make me look bad, end quote. But let's be honest, with all we have learned about him, it's kind of easy to believe that the video was indeed pretty real. After his Big Brother removal, Tate went on to gain notoriety online, with Twitter banning him for saying women should, quote, bear responsibility for being sexually attacked. Andrew Tate's videos, which heavily promote misogyny and target women, have seemed to gain a huge boom in popularity over the course of this summer, with many users, specifically teenagers on summer break, commenting on just how much he's been popping up. The frequency of his content, which has gained popularity for just how aggressive and ridiculous it is starting to bring real-world concerns, with younger users, particularly men, being exposed to and possibly taking inspiration from Tate and his extreme views. The focus has been primarily on TikTok, where videos using the Andrew Tate hashtag have been viewed more than 12.7 billion times, mainly criticizing the influencer. But YouTube is also a problem area, as it's where Tate has racked up millions of views wholly his own. In one video, where he was interviewed by another YouTuber, he said he was, quote, absolutely a misogynist. Continuing to say, quote, I'm a realist, and when you're a realist, you're sexist. There's no way you can be rooted in reality and not be sexist. And later, in the same video, he called women, quote, intrinsically lazy, end quote, and said there was a, quote, no such thing as an independent female, end quote again. In a different video, Mr. Tate said, quote, if I have responsibility over her, then I must have a degree of authority, to which he added, you can't be responsible for a dog if it doesn't obey you. Needless to say, his controversial and incorrect views have garnered him some attention, and in turn have lost him the privilege of using Facebook and Instagram, where he had 4.7 million followers at the time his account was removed. Meta said it had removed the kickboxing star from its platforms for violating its policies on dangerous organizations and individuals, but did not provide further details at this time. Andrew has not commented on this recent revelation either, but I don't doubt he will have something to say. Director of Research at the UK advocacy group Hope Not Hate, Joe Mulhall, said that Tate, quote, possesses a genuine threat to young men, radicalizing them towards extremism, misogyny, racism, and homophobia. He went on to say, we've provided significant evidence to the major social media platforms, including Meta, about his activity and why he must be removed. We welcome Meta's swift action to remove Andrew Tate and will be putting pressure on TikTok to follow this example. They must act now to prevent further spread of these extremist views, end quote. To this, a TikTok spokesperson said on the matter, quote, misogyny is a hateful ideology that is not tolerated on TikTok. We've been removing volitive videos and accounts for weeks, and we welcome the news that other platforms are also taking action against this individual.
Ex-Vine star and now YouTuber and musician Gabby Hanna has had her fair share of controversies and breakdowns in the past. Well, it seems that yesterday she had a very large public breakdown where she posted over 100 TikToks over the course of 24 hours. In the emotionally charged videos where she was often yelling, she talked about various different topics surrounding politics, race, religion, and philosophy. She even seemed to claim that she was the second coming of Christ and said that she had recently died and gone to heaven. Viewers of the videos were rightfully concerned as they believed they were witnessing a manic breakdown in real time. People who claimed to be mental health professionals said their clients often acted like this before being admitted. Others seemed to just make jokes about the situation and said they saw this coming, even calling her Kanye 2.0. The TikTok stopped after an apparent wellness check from a neighbor, and we haven't heard anything else since.
Have you heard about what's been going on with Nickelodeon? Hey, I'm your host Bridget Shields, and let's talk about how Jeanette McCurdy exposed a huge Nickelodeon scandal. Amid the bombshell claims made in Jeanette McCurdy's memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, a resurfaced video of Ariana Grande has fans reeling about the way young women were treated on Nickelodeon. Fans are really starting to turn their attention to what went on during the filming of Sam and Cat, specifically pointing fingers at someone Jeanette calls the creator. She doesn't specifically name him, but judging from the context within her memoir, it's pretty clear that the former child star is referring to the show's creator, Dan Schneider. In a now viral post that resurfaced online, a teenage Ariana Grande plays Cat Valentine and can be seen doing various strange activities that are rife with sexual undertones. Filmed in Kat's bedroom, the video sees the teen star stick her toes and fingers in her mouth while looking at the camera, lie upside down on the bed while pouring water into her mouth and over her face, and squeal and grunt while trying to juice a potato. I mean, at one point she even shouts, "I'm soaking wet." The clip is so strange that it has to be seen to be believed, but there is no doubt about its ill intentions. In fact, fans have cited this as evidence that Ariana was a victim herself from the creepiness of Dan Schneider's alleged predatory behavior. So far, the clip has amassed more than 3.3 million views on Twitter since it was posted last week, and the full version has racked up more than 11 million views on YouTube since 2019. So it's pretty clear that people are starting to catch on to the creepiness of it all. Described as both heartbreaking and hilarious, iCarly star Jennette McCurdy's bluntly titled memoir shocked fans upon its release. The reason being is that it gives fans a glimpse into what really went on behind the cameras, something that up until now they have only been able to speculate about. Jennette exposes her traumatic experiences on Nickelodeon and the disturbing truth about how she was mistreated by her mother, who pushed her to be a child star, noting that the persona she was known for throughout her youth and young adult life was a front forced upon her by her mom, who in addition to everything else was extremely physically inappropriate with both her and her brother even when they were teenagers. Jennette also discusses the perils of young fame, revealing that she developed anorexia as a child and talks about why she ultimately quit acting altogether. She also details numerous instances where she felt exploited as a teen actor both on and off set, describing the creator as mean-spirited, controlling, and terrifying. The former Nickelodeon star recalled a time when she was filming an episode of iCarly that he insisted that she wear a bikini instead of a one-piece swimsuit, which she much preferred. And if you have any remaining doubts about how serious her allegations are, Jennette also revealed that the network offered her $300,000 if she agreed to keep silent about her experiences on set. The 31-year-old says that the offer was made right after her stint on the show Sam and Cat ended in 2014, and at the time, she said that it felt like hush money. In the end, after everything she had endured as a child star, Jennette rejected Nickelodeon's offer and has been since vocal about her experiences. Speaking to the New York Times, she was overcome with emotion. Quote, "My whole childhood and adolescence were very exploited. It still gives my nervous system a reaction to say it. There were cases where people had the best intentions, and maybe I didn't know what they were doing, and also cases where they did, they knew exactly what they were doing." But judging from the ripple effects after the book's release, it's clear that she made the right decision in finally speaking out.
A bunch of celebrities and Depp supporters have been unliking Depp's victory post over the weekend, and there may be a few reasons why. After winning his defamation case against Amber Heard by a long shot, Johnny took to Instagram to celebrate and write a victory post. Over the last month and a bit, this victory post had accumulated more than 19 million likes. And among those likes were many celebrities, including Robert Downey Jr., Jennifer Aniston, Elle Fanning, Bella Hadid, Orlando Bloom, Sophie Turner, Joey King, Melissa Joan Hart, Vanessa Hudgens, Liv Tyler, and Jennifer Coolidge, all who have now unliked the post. Lucy Hale and Emma Roberts are among the few celebs that haven't unliked the post just yet, but we won't be surprised if they do. The discovery of the unlikes has come after the unsealing of pre-trial documents that the judge ruled not relevant to the case, and therefore they were not presented in court. In case you don't know what I'm referring to, Johnny Depp went up against Amber Heard in a very long trial to prove that the Washington Post op-ed that Amber wrote about being a public figure for victims of domestic violence, and clearly referring to her relationship with Johnny back in 2016, was defamatory and the reason that he lost potential job offers and franchise deals. Johnny won this case by a long shot, with Amber owing him $10+ million in damages, and even though Johnny had to pay pay Amber $2 million, that was because the court found that Johnny's lawyer defamed Amber in an interview, not because of anything Johnny himself actually did. Amber alleged that there were documents that could have helped her case that were sealed, but have now been revealed to the public. The documents that were concealed until recently included potentially damaging anecdotes about Depp and Heard, and it did not help either of their cases. Even though Amber on a number of occasions in court alluded to a bunch of evidence that would prove her case, no one has been focusing on the fact that she potentially lied again about the mountain of concealed evidence. And everyone has been focusing on what Johnny was trying to push through to help his case. Is this due to the media pushing people to focus on Johnny? Possibly. The documents that are now concerning people are nude photos of Amber and footage from Amber Heard's sister Whitney's reality show, which consists of a scene where Whitney is repeatedly asked about getting into a physical fight with her sister, and then it is shown that she has marks on her chest and arm from an altercation. Apparently, the concealed documents included more about Whitney and Amber's past relationships, and then there is some information about Amber's past as an exotic dancer before she met Depp, and there was some suggestion to her being an escort. The Popcorn Planet YouTube channel discussed the evidence around this in detail last week and spoke about her being an alleged madame to lots of people in Hollywood. If this were true and a lot of people were tied up in a potential escort business that Amber led, then perhaps that would make sense as to why so many celebs are now receding their engagement on Johnny's post. After the Harvey Weinstein debacle, nobody wants to get caught up in another potential dark Hollywood scandal. Why are celebs unliking his post? Here's a few possible reasons. Fear of choosing the wrong side. We all saw the trial, the mountain of evidence that Johnny had, and the number of lies that Amber was caught in. But yes, Hollywood is usually filled with celebs that are scared of choosing the wrong side. Nobody wants to be wrong, and fair enough, I wouldn't want that either. Reason number 2. We don't trust the law anymore. Yeah, many new pre-trial documents have been released, but they were kept out of the trial for a reason. If there were any pictures that proved Amber being severely hurt by Johnny that would align with some of her stories, then they would have been included in the trial. Not to mention, would they not be circulating the internet now? But perhaps their inherent distrust in the law could be coming from the fact that we now live in a world where it's hard to know who to trust, as there has been so much misinformation and trickery afoot. Do we blame them if they are not sure if they could trust that this trial wasn't corrupt and leaning in favor of Johnny, whom, as he's been marketed as the powerful man? Even though, wouldn't a powerful person have the mainstream media on their side? But don't get me started. Reason number 3, maybe they don't want to be associated with this battle anymore. Fair enough, I could see that being possible, as this case seems to be never ending. But considering that a large amount of celebrities are unliking the post on a mass scale, and knowing how different everyone is in regards to thought, it feels unlikely that suddenly everyone has decided to abandon ship altogether. Reason number 4, maybe they were told to unlike the post by their management team. Everyone knows that Hollywood is in cahoots with the mainstream media, and so the top agencies most likely have associations with the Washington press, whom most people question because of their decision to back Heard in the first place. It wouldn't be unheard of to imagine a bunch of agencies telling their clients to disassociate themselves from Johnny because higher powers told them to do so. The Washington Post did push Amber's article, and it's a bad look for them that they potentially posted an article about a false victim, especially with a large majority of the public associating the idea of fake news when perceiving the mainstream media. It was a risky move, but also, why did they push an article without doing their due diligence and making sure that Heard was absolutely someone who was a victim before agreeing to her article? Whatever happened to journalist ethics? Is it perhaps because they wanted to push a narrative whether their stories are true or not? That would perhaps give them reason for backing her now. If Amber is not working as an actress, which we know she's not at the moment, who is paying her bills? How is she able to appeal? So many questions. Reason number 5. Did all of these celebs, unlike Johnny's post, due to a potential Hollywood scandal that might be on the verge of becoming public knowledge and nobody wants to be associated with it? Perhaps because they are a part of it? Or perhaps because a bigger power such as a media outlet or executive producers might be a part of it and they control the money in Hollywood and therefore whether an actor can ever work again. Gosh, it sounds a lot like the kind of pull Harvey Weinstein had over a lot of people in Hollywood. Surely that couldn't still be happening.
In October of 2016, people were shocked when they found out that reality television star Kim Kardashian had been robbed while in a hotel room in Paris. With how high profile the family is and how well known they are for being wealthy and flaunting it, it unfortunately makes them a big target for theft. The robbers stole millions of dollars worth of valuable jewelry, no one being arrested in connection to the crime until 5 years later in 2021. Since the event happened, the discussion has died down and no new information has come out until now. One of the robbers involved in the theft was interviewed and has spoken up about their involvement in the situation and their feelings towards it. So let's recap what happened 6 years ago and see what the criminal had to say about it. Like I said before, the incident took place in October of 2016. She was in Paris doing runway shows and had returned to her hotel, actively posting live videos of her at the runway, out to dinner, and finally spending time in her room. While she was there, masked robbers threatened the concierge of the hotel and got them to give access to her room, where they then threatened her, tying her up in the bathtub and locking her inside while they made off with all the valuables. She had apparently been rightfully terrified, begging for them not to hurt her because she has children at home. They took a box with $10 million worth of jewelry, escaping into the night on their bikes. Fortunately, no one was harmed in this incident except for people who paid for tickets to Kanye's concert that night, as he had to stop the show abruptly due to a family emergency, which turned out to be the robbery. Paris's own mayor even apologized to Kim and her family, saying that she will always be welcome in Paris. After the incident occurred, it was revealed that the robbers were a group of elderly men in their 60s and 70s who had apparently been planning the heist for a full 2 years. They had reportedly used the Kardashian family's social medias in order to organize it and know their locations, actions, and timelines. Authorities believe that Kim's posts on Snapchat revealed where she was, the fact she had the jewelry with her, and the fact she was on her own and vulnerable. 12 total men were involved, and one of them was a 67-year-old man who spent just 22 months in prison before being released early on the grounds of health. Vice News took to tracking him down and walking the street with him for an interview where he discusses the event. What's most shocking is that he seems to feel no remorse for what took place and would probably do it again if he had the chance. Here's what he had to say about the time leading up to the heist. "I went on the internet and I saw her jewelry. I saw her ring. I saw that she showed it everywhere. We knew this information through social media. We knew that she was coming for Fashion Week, so we went there to do some reconnaissance so we were sure." He admitted that he didn't even know who Kim Kardashian was before joining the men for the robbery, going on to watch episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians and determining that Kim had so much money that she really wouldn't care if she was robbed. When asked if he felt guilty about it, he said, "Since she was throwing money away, I was there to collect it and that was that. Guilty? No. I don't care. I don't care." He went on to say that he believes Kim Kardashian and other celebrities are just asking to be robbed due to how much they show off their wealth on television and social media, saying that it's provocative. He says that this should serve as a wake-up call for them to stop being so flashy. It certainly worked for Kim, as after the event took place, she said that she stopped keeping expensive jewelry and other items at her home and had stopped live posting to social media. She has apparently said she became less materialistic since this took place and is more grateful to have her family. But I really don't think the robber should be praised for believing he caused this change in her life. I really honestly don't know why they would bring this guy in for an interview to talk about it, because it all just feels a bit scummy to me. Like we shouldn't be giving this guy screen time and fame for committing a crime. His name has been released, but I just don't want to say it and give him the credit, so if you're interested, just look it up for yourself.
Many are under the impression that there's trouble in Meghan and MGK's relationship, basing their speculations on a few different things that could mean absolutely nothing at all. So of course we are going to bring you those reasons, and then you can decide for yourself if you think it's true or if you even care at all. These two celebrities met on a film set in 2020, and Megan Fox told Lala Kent on their podcast, quote, "I knew right away that he was what I call a twin flame." What's a twin flame, you may ask? Yes, I asked the same thing. Well, Fox went on to say, quote, "Instead of a soulmate, a twin flame is actually where a soul has ascended into a high enough level that it can be split into two different bodies at the same time. So we're actually two halves of the same soul, I think." And I said that to him almost immediately because I felt it right away. End quote. So yeah, I guess once she told him that and then inquired about him being breastfed as a child because it, quote, "has a lot to do with your psychology and your temperament," the two decided they were in love. So they made out in a bathroom, drank each other's blood, and got engaged earlier this year under a banyan tree. But fans seem to be under the impression that the two are having trouble in their weird paradise. And a celebrity gossip article by Gawker titled "Celebrity Breakup Watch, Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly" states why exactly this is thought to be true. Now, the story doesn't say that the two have indeed broken up. No, instead it gives us reasons why things aren't working out. And when I say it's a stretch, it's a stretch. The article comments on Megan's Instagram activities, from which MGK has been missing for a few weeks. Specifically, it talks about a single post from Megan's Instagram that says nothing about them breaking up, but it's just her and Kourtney Kardashian posing scantily clad, which the article, if we can even call it that, says is an indication that Megan is looking to date again, which it absolutely is not. And it's almost comical to see the lengths people will go and read into these things. MGK is currently on the road for his tour, which could and probably does explain his absence from Megan's Instagram, if we need an explanation at all. The site also points out that we have seen or heard no wedding plans being announced, and that she hasn't spoken about him publicly since the premiere of MGK's documentary Life in Pink. How dare she? Must mean they've broken up, right? No, it doesn't mean that at all, just because the actress doesn't talk about him to the press all the time, but hey, if they do break up, now we can pretend we could see it coming because she wasn't talking about him publicly or posting about him on Instagram. Unsurprisingly, neither of them has officially commented on the report, and neither of them has hinted at calling it quits on their relationship, despite all the rumors for months. Well, Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson broke up. Wasn't the longest relationship, and them dating seems like an odd match to me, but it managed to last at least 9 months. But now the question some people have is, why the split? I'm Adam Andrews with InformOverload, and here's a bunch of reasons from various sources as to why the short-lived couple split. So why did Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson break up? Well, it seems that it comes down to some completely civil stuff. Scheduling, age differences, and, you'll never guess this one, different personalities were some of the reasons that the two called it quits after their 9-month relationship. One source said, quote, "Kim and Pete have decided to just be friends. They have a lot of love and respect for each other, but found that the long distance and their demanding schedules made it really difficult to maintain a relationship." But like I said, the couple's age difference was also likely a big part of it too. Kim and Pete are around 13 years apart, so it's not the most surprising thing. And a source confirms this, saying, quote, "Pete is 28. And Kim is 41. They are just in very different places at the moment. Pete is totally spontaneous and impulsive and wants her to fly to New York or wherever he is on a moment's notice. But Kim has 4 kids, and it isn't that easy. She needs to focus on the kids. This same insider also revealed that Kim's various businesses, of which there are many, have made keeping a relationship difficult for her, saying, quote, "She's totally exhausted by this relationship and other things going on in her life." But that's not to say that they were not getting along or had no chemistry. They absolutely had a lot of chemistry, and anyone who's seen them together would agree with that. Yet another source, this time for Entertainment Tonight, said, quote, "They had tons of chemistry and still do, but she kind of wants to be single and date. Kim still adores Pete and will always be friends with him. She still thinks he's the nicest and sweetest guy in the world, and there's no drama or anything weird between them now." This source continues to say, quote, "She felt like Pete was the extreme opposite of Kanye, and it was good for her then. She initially thought it would be a fun fling, but then it got more serious when they were spending so much time together. Kim wasn't feeling like she was willing to settle down with him just yet." So yes, it seems like it was just the natural progression of a rebound. These things happen. There's no animosity, no real drama, and that's nice for once. I'm sure Kim feels the same way after the headache I can imagine Kanye is. Speaking of Kanye, another source seemed to hint at the fact that Kanye did indeed have a bit of a hand to play in the whole thing, seemingly hinted at and confirmed by a source for Page 6 when talking about how Kim wants to focus on the kids, saying, quote, "When Kim is with someone else, Kanye can cause problems with the kids. He tries to divide and conquer. He can't help it. Kim is a really dedicated mother and her kids will always come first. She wants and needs harmony at home and in her life."
Actress and wife of Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, seems to be one of those people where opinions on her are split right down the middle. You either love her or you hate her. Fans of the royal family are typically not on her side as they feel like she has caused a lot of drama and upset within the royal unit, especially when her and Harry made the choice to leave their royal duties behind. Others see her as a champion independent woman who stood up for herself in the face of adversity and ignorance. Whatever your opinion is though, it seems that nobody likes her new podcast. That's right, like many people in this day and age, Meghan Markle has decided to launch a podcast titled Archetypes on Spotify. With the podcast market so overly saturated, it's hard to create something that will really stand out and be interesting to listeners. And I think Meghan was banking on her fame to get people to listen. But she may have been banking on it a little too much, as critics have called her podcast just another way for her to talk about herself. So let's take a look at the podcast and what other critics and listeners have had to say. As I said, the podcast is titled Archetypes, and the main goal of it appears to be a feminist sort of effort. Markle describing the podcast as where we dissect, explore, and subvert the labels that try to hold women back. So it seems that her guests are probably going to be all influential females, and the very first person she had on her show is tennis superstar Serena Williams. Next week's episode is apparently going to feature Mariah Carey, because I guess she's already started to defrost for the Christmas season. In this episode, Meghan and Serena appeared to talk about their shared experiences, mostly specific to them being women, including embracing their ambitions from a young age, being new mothers with public careers, and Serena talking about how she has pivoted her career from tennis to other outlets like writing for Vogue. Meghan also shared more details about a situation in 2019 where she was on a trip in South Africa speaking publicly when she received news that her son Archie's bedroom had caught on fire, saying that she was in tears and shaken by the incident, as any mother would be, while other people who remember it say that Archie wasn't even in the room and it was just a heater that started smoking and they unplugged it. Despite Serena Williams being the featured guest, many listeners and critics complained that Meghan spent way too much time talking about herself, saying that Serena barely had a chance. So let's take a look at what some of the professional reviews had to say about the podcast, and then we'll see what the general public has been saying on social media. James Marriott from The Times gave it a 1-star review and called it almost entirely preposterous. He said, "The effect of all the tinkly music and vapid conversation makes you feel like you've been locked in the relaxation room of a wellness spa with an unusually self-involved yoga instructor." Celia Walden from The Telegraph is the one who called it just another way she can talk about herself, saying, "The podcast is an interview with this inspirational sporting figure in name only. If the rest of the season is anything like the premiere, what we're really going to be listening to week after week is Meghan interviewing herself." And finally, The Spectator also said it was all about her, saying, "The first guest is Serena Williams, but tennis enthusiasts who tune in might be a bit disappointed. The show is in fact all about Meghan, since it takes 11 minutes for Serena to barely get a word in edgeways. It's hard to believe that it took 28 people, including 8 executive producers, to make the episode, plus Meghan herself, who is also listed as an executive producer in the credits." Messages from casual listeners on Twitter seem to be pretty divided, with some praising it and some calling her out. Tweets said things like, "Meghan Markle's new Spotify podcast is good. First episode with Serena Williams, edited beautifully. Meghan's got a great voice and vibe, expert input." While others were saying things like, "Meghan Markle's podcast was yet another one of her boring whinge fests, where she attempts to play the victim and sell lies about the royal family again. Meghan is sponging off of Prince Harry's inheritance and status. What does she know about ambition? Nothing."